scratch it one time?
Look, I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop, I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peace, you gon' see the flex when you hear these writtens. Trust me, you know the difference. I got a long ways to climb before you see a slippage. I see the process and the journey I'm supposed to be, but perplexed, cause I don't really see nobody close to me. Hopefully this ain't wasted and I know it ain't. You gotta take the time for seasoning to marinate. You need the patience under pressure just to detonate. I'm trying to blow up and these heathens need to get it straight. Gifted with a vision and precision, I'm just trying to make it high key. Might be breaking free like I was Zion in some Nikes. Tucked at the crib, bro, you know just where to find me. Making beats and spitting crack verses pretty likely. Yeah, socks with the burst, boy, I ain't changed a bit. Normal guy till I die, you know what it is. You probably thought I'd give up now that I got some kids, but really now I got these arrows aiming at your ribs. I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop, I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peas. Hey, please be on the notice, these my motives. Bought my chicken and it's rotis. You parsimonious, you take it all cause you a locust. My focus is to grow this mission. A visionary, get a dictionary. We here off the ribbon, we ain't sharing, we just caring. Let me speak it to the manager. We damage her, no you ain't messing with an amateur. I'm ramming, the competition ain't standing up. They fanning from left to right cause now they branded us.
Now who that is?
Mike Jones, they ain't want me now, they all on me. Got counterfeits trying to play me, I guess they thinking I'm Sony. These big head dummies showing up and out of their character. Homie, you need a price cause without it the squad ain't hearing you. Top of that, we ain't fearing it. We swinging for the fences with the sting of a left hook that connects with Sonny Liston. I'm dismissing any and all of the disrespect. Nonetheless, it ain't a threat, I'm just letting y'all know who's next. I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop, I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peas, you gon' see the...
Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoes, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas, keep. You with me, sheesh. Benito, Chief, Keith.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Bitcoin sitting at our major target here at the previous value area high, sitting between 103 and 100 or 102 and $103,000. We peaked above that value area high, guys. We have one more target that I'm looking at above. As you guys know, we've been looking at a previous volume profile and our current volume profile. Current volume profile, value area high, is sitting at $105,000. Are we going to get the push up there, or are we going to get a cool off from our previous range value area high that we're sitting at right now? I'm going to break down the charts for you guys. But Bitcoin and some of the altcoins as well, guys. Green dots on the daily for the alts with the 90-minute money flow crossovers are continuing to play out. We got XRP hitting our target that we've been looking at on the live stream at the POC. We got Ethereum hitting its POC target that we've been looking at forever. And we're also above that doorway to higher prices on Ethereum. Is this the start of something much bigger? We're going to break it all down for you. So shout out to the CandleMafia. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys for being here. We got Tyler Durden in the chat. We got Rob the Crypto Stop, Dave Digital, Tyler, I already said Tyler Durden, D Petty Crypto, Crypto Anon, Crypto Billy, Captain Kirk. You guys know who the mods are. Show them some love in the chat right now. Shout out to Alexander G. Welcome in. Good to see you as always. We got Jesse, our like police, in the chat, guys. Don't forget to smash that like button. We're going to be doing some giveaways at the end of the stream. We got some Cardano to give away. I believe it's still Cardano. We got some Cardano. And hey, maybe if we hit 1,000 likes, we'll send out some hats. We'll see what we can do here. But yeah, we're starting to Shout out to Seth Shepard said, I put in a Bitcoin short at 103K last night and went to bed, got stopped out. Shout out to Seth. Actually, in the premium Discord, I was talking about how we were at resistance and actually wasn't really loving the short setup there as we didn't really have many entry confirmations. We also didn't have any bearish signs on the order flow, so I decided to sit out, and we did actually end up putting in another high here. So really nice to see at least to fulfill this volume profile, guys. We got the 97K macro Fibonacci golden pocket retracement, and now we're above that key level. We got the big push up into above $100,000. Are we going to get the bigger breakout? Obviously, nothing's up in a straight line, so we're going to give you all the key levels of not only resistance, but also the major levels of support that we want to hold in order to keep this uptrend going. So shout out to everybody in the chat. Let's see. Shout out to World said, no floating Mrs. Candles. Yeah, she actually deflated overnight. She was standing up there, and then she just kind of melted down. But yeah, let's see. Hats for Gen Z. Let's see. If we give away, guys, if we get 1,000 likes and we give away hats, we got to root for Gen Z. Gen Z's been trying to get a hat for so long, bro. Let's see. Votes are for all-time highs. We're coming down. Shout out to, who said that? Who said it? Shout out to Say It With Me. Sweet. Shout out to you, bro. So yeah, next stop, all-time high, 53%. We're going to stay here, 16%, and then back down to 90K range, 30%. Okay, all right. Well, I actually think it's a little bit of a loaded answer here. All-time highs, I do think, obviously, are highly probable here as we're above that point of control. It's the major level we look to get above. But I don't know if it's going to be the next stop. So we're going to break it down. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm looking for and my exact trading plan. So without further ado, shout out to Captain Kirk in the chat. Let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. So here we are, guys, sitting on the Bitcoin chart at our value area high of the range. Absolutely beautiful to see this play out, guys. We got the bull divs below the value area into our key level. We look for the 97K retracement. That was the turning point on the charts to potentially either see a massive rejection to the downside, potentially putting in new lows, but we knew if we got over that, very clearly, it would open up the door to push into that $100,000 liquidity into our value area high, which was our next major target. And here we are once again with the crystal ball live on the charts here, crystal ball being the volume profile. Those levels act as a magnet for price. And if you have not been using the volume profiles, guys, please, for the love of God, let this be your sign to start using these volume profiles. And when we get to the altcoin charts, guys, a lot of these alts are reclaiming their macro value area lows, which could be very, very nice. We also see Bitcoin dominance attempting to come down, losing a key level of support. I'm not fully convinced on the Bitcoin dominance just yet, but it is nice that we're losing that key level of support. We'll take a look at the dominance in just a minute. But let's go ahead here and start off on the higher time frames and see what we are working with. So obviously, really nice to see this fill in full. This is definitely resistance, guys. It is the monthly, right, to significant levels here. Monthly horizontal sitting at 362, and then the value area high sitting closer to about 103. And, obviously, this is, not necessarily the time to long the top of a green candle. Could we continue up, of course? But at the end of the day, right, we are hitting resistance. And like I said, we do have one more target up here that I would actually prefer to see hit, because we've been looking at this major volume profile, previous volume profile, pulled to before the breakdown. And then our next range that we are looking at is the current volume profile, pulled a little bit deeper into our current price action. And that value area high actually does sit at about $105,400. And we do actually have, what is it? Is it a daily, right? So we have the daily and the value area high sitting up there. And sometimes, guys, I will say the volume profile levels do oftentimes act as a magnet for price. So as we look at this, right, you do just have to understand, could we reject the value area high that we're sitting at right now? Sure, I'm going to show you some of the signs on Market Cypher B that could call for that, but at the end of the day, this is eventually going to act as a magnet, at least in my opinion. And as long as we hold above some of these key levels of support that we're going to take a look at today, I do think there is a possibility, even if we do get a pullback, to get a move into that $105,000 level. And all overall, right? Breaking above that golden pocket was very bullish in my opinion, right? Not just because it was the POC of the range, likely calling for the value area high, but also because, this was a very strong level of resistance and contextually was a, big level that had a high probability of, if we were going to get that lower low to come in, it was likely to come in, the first major level for that to come in at would be the golden pocket, right? So the fact that we're above that major resistance, it is now support, right? So if we do get a bigger correction, hopefully we don't have to endure something like this, but If we do get the bigger correction, I'll pull back up the previous volume profile. These are the levels that I'm going to be looking at until we break out. If we do push up higher, that's where I will turn off. At that point, right, these levels have all been tapped. So we would just simply take that off the chart, take a look at the current profile, and be like, all right, well, hey, our next stop is up here at 105K. But for now, I'm going to keep an eye on this. Whoops, not that. We're going to keep an eye, not on that. No, not that. What am I doing here? Where is the, there we go. Right, so we're going to keep an eye on these levels right now. And again, we are at resistance. Do we have some bearish signs popping up? I will say, if we come on over here to the 8-hour, we do have an 8-hour red dot printing. And same thing as last night, right? Last night I was saying to the premium Discord, we got that push up into our resistance. However, we didn't really have any confirmations up here, right? We didn't have any bearish divergences. We didn't have any bearish order flow. So at that point, I decided to sit out on the short position. And sure enough, we did come in and put in a higher high. So at this point, we do technically have, a confirmed bearish divergence up here on the 1 hour. We're at the value area high, which is already going to be resistance. And we also have that 8-hour red dot printing, like I just showed. And we are starting to see that 24-minute and that 30-minute money flow start to cross over towards that zero line, right? Looking for a potential crossover into the red. So the question here is, are we going to come up first to 105K, right? Or are we going to get a cool off first? And again, I'm going to cover some key levels that we definitely want to hold here. Pretty obvious level here, $100,000 psychological level, going to be a big level to stay above. Throughout this entire profile, the strongest level that I want to hold, guys, just like the golden pocket POC confluence was the major level to the upside as resistance. This is going to remain the key level to the downside, right? Because when you break above all that resistance, sure, it could give you some turbulence, right? And it could potentially give you a big rejection. But once we're able to break above that, and we've taken a look at this on the visible range volume profile, just to give it like a simple kind of visualization, right? Like massive high volume node. This could potentially give you the big rejection, but once you break above all that resistance, all that support now lives down below. And, this is going to very likely act as support if we do come back down here. So in my own personal opinion, this is going to be the, let me pull some fibs here, right? This is going to be the real major level, right? We have the POC of the range, the high volume node, all that resistance that we had on the way up will then be support. We also have the local golden pocket retracement, beautifully confluent with that POC, and it's also, confluent with these highs, right? These highs could give us a bounce as well. So, the biggest, if we do get that bigger retracement down, I would say the most important level on the chart is going to be the POC, because not only is that going to be a potential area we can get the bounce before sending it to the upside. We see this happen a lot, guys. Even if we come back down here to our range that we were in for a brutal 7 months, you could see here, right? We popped to the upside, and then we got that correction down, found support on the POC before finally getting the bigger breakout. So, sometimes we do see that where we kind of pop up, come back down to the POC, and then we send it. And this level is just, again, on the way up, absolutely massive. On the way down, absolutely massive. And not to mention, it is the POC of the range. So, once we wind up losing that level, it is going to look a little bit more probable to potentially get that correction back down towards $90,000 to $92,000. We have a CME gap in there. This fib is actually gone now. But CME gap, we have liquidity sitting down here. It's also the value area low of the macro range. So the nice thing here is like, hey, if we do get the push down from the value area high, whether we come up to 105K first is kind of a hard guess to make, to be quite honest. But if we do wind up coming down, that's definitely going to be the biggest key level to hold, because that would allow us to put that bounce in on that local golden pocket, put in a higher low, and then again, retest that POC before getting a bigger pop to the upside. But once we start losing that POC, definitely looking at that as a little bit of a sign of weakness to come back down to the $91,000 value area low. But we could just trade that as a typical volume profile, right? If we get those bearish confirmations up here, we could look to short it, right? And then if we come on down into that POC, bullish confirmations, maybe we want to take some profit on the short, maybe close it in full, maybe look to flip long to catch that next leg to the upside. So that is the biggest level, 100%. Again, if there's a lot of levels in there. However, if you just simply look at this on a volume profile, very simple way to view the market, right? And it's just kind of like, even if you don't know how to read a chart, it's like, well, hey, massive wall here, right? We're probably going to hit our head on that wall. But hey, if we flip above it, it now becomes the floor, right? And that does come in at about $97,000. It's the horizontal levels. It's the high volume node. It's the POC of the range, which is essentially another word for high volume node. But also the context of that volume profile, right? If this can't get back above, then that. If this, with bullish confirmations, probably a higher low and a higher high. And based off money flow on the daily, as we've been looking at forever, right? As long as that money flow stays in the daily, in the green on the daily, could mean higher lows and higher highs are to come. Now, you guys can see here, we are starting to form potential bearish divergences here on the daily time frame. But again, money flow is always going to indicate the longer-term trend. The bearish divergence with money flow in the green, sure, it can give you a pullback, right? But as long as that money flow stays in the green, you could look for higher lows and higher highs because this is going to indicate the longer-term trend will continue to the upside, or would more probably, it's higher probability that the trend will continue to the upside. And again, like, I mean, even if we're pretty thick in the green here, even if we did come down to 97K, you probably still have a little bit of room to keep that money flow in the green. But that bear div is something I will be looking at, right? Because that bearish divergence, very similarly to the bull div that we had down here, this bull div is bullish, right? On the daily. You get the lower lows on your price action. You get the higher lows on your momentum waves. You get the bounce, right? And that's what you expect. But the context there is money flow is in the red. So that bounce, although a bull div on the daily typically gives you a move up, which it did, right? The thought process there is as long as that money flow is still in the red, probably going to be a lower high and a lower low, right? So it's the same thing here, but in the opposite direction, right? Sure, that bear div can potentially bring us down, giving us a cool off. But if that money flow is still in the green, you know, it would be looked at as a lackluster retracement before putting in a higher low and a higher high. So $97,000. And if I pull this fib one more time, come on down to a lower time frame. Let me hide this to make the chart a little bit bigger, right? So if we pull this, whoops, bada boom, to the high, right? So golden pocket almost perfectly confluent with that POC. And then we also, this whole zone is, 786 sits at about 94K. I don't really want to mess with the 786, to be quite honest. I'd much rather bounce off the golden pocket because if we did come down to that 786, sure, you could still hold that 786 and bounce out of it, but you're basically bouncing into the POC, which is resistance. So it's very important if you come down there, you reclaim the POC before looking for the bigger move up. Until then, below the POC is then resistance, right? And that, again, does sit, I would say, between about $96,500 and $97,000 because we have two POCs we're looking at, and then the golden pocket comes down to about $96,667. So it is going to be a zone, but that is the biggest level to remain above, in my own personal opinion. Above that, right, we have the $100,000 psychological level. I'm not going to mark this out on the chart. I will just do it like right now just to mark out where it is, right? But I don't typically keep these levels on the chart, Like, I don't just write psychological level and keep it there. But I just know 100K even, obviously going to be a very key level, right? At nice even, 100,000. And I was talking to Premium earlier today. I think $100,000 is like a super psychological level, right? Because everyone's wanted 100K for Bitcoin for so long. It's like now the pinnacle of like, what's the price of Bitcoin? It's like, I just want to know if it's above or below 100 grand, right? So that's definitely the psychological level. And let me actually pull this fib from this low to the high. Yeah, it doesn't get you quite there. So yeah, $100,000 always going to be a psychological level of resistance, right? So if we do come down there, you might be able to see some kind of a bounce. If we lose it, much more likely to continue down towards that POC, in my own personal opinion, right? But yeah, other than that, right, like there's not much TA to do up in here, at least on like the medium time frames. Other than that, this was a very, very fast move to the upside. We do have a little bit of a slight range forming here at the value area high or the current previous value area high. So, for me personally, right, I would say the way that, unless, right, if we're going to come down first, the question is, are we going to come up to 105 or are we going to come down first to then eventually re-attack 105,000? It's a hard call to make, right? Because the 8-hour red dot is printing. If we see the 30-minute and the 24-minute money flow crossover into the red, I would say that greatly increases the chances of getting a pullback first, right? But when we start to look at things like the 1 hour, right, and the 90-minute, we do have a red dot printing. Green dot just got stepped on. But, as we kind of consolidate up here, it would make a lot of sense in my own personal opinion. I do think 105K is probably the better level because if we pull up that current value area high, this is going to act as a magnet, right? And if we do push up there, it would look pretty nice into the value area high daily between 104.5 to about 105.5. To put in some local bearish divergences, maybe on a 90-minute, maybe on a 1 hour, lower highs on your momentum waves, higher highs on your price action into that key level of resistance. This is the favorable level in my opinion. But this does not mean, right, that we cannot reject the value area high. It's a little bit of a difficult call to make. And that's why I say, if we're going to come down first, it would very likely happen on that 30-minute and 24-minute money flow crossover into the red. If we don't get that, I would be waiting for 105K, right? We're very close to it. And the value area high, value area low, POC, they all act as magnets for price. And to be quite honest, right, like, sure, we have a little bit of divergence up here. 1 hour, higher highs, lower highs, right? And We do have an SFP of the high here, which is kind of nice as well. But it's very hard. We're holding this monthly, like for our lives, right? Like we are holding on to this by the skin of our teeth. If we lose 102, 362, that's kind of the first point of weakness in my opinion, right? And again, this is a local volume profile. You could kind of mark this out. If you're looking to scalp those lower time frames, right, you could look at this volume profile as your potential guide to where price is going to go next. Down to the low, back to the high, deviate above, back to the low, right, back to the high, back to the low, etc. But yeah, I don't, 1 hour bear divs, money flow starting to come out. Let's check that 16 hour. We also have these as well. 16-hour bearish divergence is also looking to print here. Lower highs on the momentum waves. VWAP is coming down, looking for a red dot as well. And if we get that 16-hour red dot, we also have that 1 hour money flow coming out, which is potentially going to be a market cipher B116 setup. But I would just be a little suspicious of getting one more pop up here to about 105K, right? So, if I took a shot, I'm not in a short right now, but if I did take a shot up here, I would have to be taking that with pretty good risk management, tight stop loss. And I would really need some kind of an entry trigger, to be quite honest. This bear div happened at 3 a.m. I obviously wasn't on the charts at 3 a.m. Otherwise, I might have taken that SFP or that divergence trade back down to the low. But as of right now, I don't really have a reason to enter a trade at this exact moment, right? We came up to our Fibonacci retracement, but I've already checked exo charts. We don't really have any bearish CVD up there or anything. So, could you come back down from here? Obviously, we are at resistance, but I would just say, I don't know. These magnetic prices, I would be very careful of that next shot to the upside. But again, it's an if this, then that. If we come up first, I would, the levels to the downside, pretty much, I don't know, they kind of remain the same, to be honest. But if we come up first, I will say, if we hit 105K first, if I do catch a short up there, I would anticipate that to play out a little bit more than if we come down first, right? Because if we come down first, let's say we break down here on the 8-hour, 30-minute, get a little bit of a cool off. I think at that point, there's a little bit of a higher chance that because we have this magnet up here, if we get the pullback first, I would be interested in looking for longs at higher lows to then come up and aggressively attack that 105K target, right? Nothing's going to come up in a straight line forever, right? We're going to have to look for these pullbacks. And again, when you pull up that previous range volume profile, I am going to be trading this as it stands until we break out, right? So yeah, monthly level is important to look at. 102, 350. Start losing that. Maybe you're going to see that 30-minute, 8-hour play out. And if that happens before we go to 105K, we might be able to look for some long positions on the way down, again, for a higher low and a higher high. Because I do think that even if we come down first, I would hope that we could come up and fill that current range in full. And let me actually pull that to our current price, because this is actually not pulled to our full current price. I don't think the levels are going to change. Yeah, the levels literally barely change. So I'm just going to leave them where they are. But yeah, that's kind of the question over the weekend. Are we going to get the pullback first? And I want to talk about these local levels below us that I will be looking at for bounces. But yeah, whether we come up first or down first, it would kind of change my plan. Because if we come up first, I would expect this to more likely play out to a deeper level. But if we come up first, I'd be more looking at it like an aggressive bounce back to the upside to hit 105K. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at here as far as what we have going on currently on the live price action. And yeah, I would say a break of 102, 355, first kind of major sign of, not major sign of weakness, but the first sign that we can get that bigger retracement. Now, $100,000 even, 100% going to be that key level, right? And if we pull some, all we can really do here to look for our our higher lows and higher highs to come in if we do drop to the downside first. Let's pull up that previous volume profile so we could kind of, let's pull some of these fibs, right, from the high. From the low to the high. 786, 100K confluence there on the psychological level. So this would kind of just be the first obvious area to be looking for price to come down to. If we do break 102, 350, I would be looking for a potential continuation down into this fib zone. If we get bullish confirmations there, money flow coming back up, we could anticipate higher lows and higher highs. And then if we lose that, to be honest, I really do think losing $100,000 is going to more likely lead down to the drop to the POC, 96 to 97K. And that's pretty much it, right? We don't really have any new levels here as far as the dailies, right? Daily, this was just one massive candle yesterday. Nothing really to do there as far as marking out key levels. So $100,000 psychological. And yeah, below $100,000, I would say the next major support, 96 to 97K, right up to these highs, golden pocket confluence. POC, we could start to look at some, we could look at an anchored VWAP as well. Let's pull it from the bottom of this range. Yeah, I mean, you pull it from the bottom of this range, anchored VWAP comes right in on that POC. That would be a very important level to hold. And then, as I said, if we do end up losing the POC, that would be a little bit more bearish, in my opinion, potentially looking to fill that range in full down to the value area low at 91K. We do have the CME gap down there. Doesn't guarantee that we have to fill it, obviously. But, just based off the volume profiles, we could trade this as a simple volume profile situation, right? Deviate above the highs. And that's another thing, too. We came into this value area high. We wicked up slightly, but if we go to 105K, you would also get like a nice deviation above this volume profile, which is oftentimes a great place to be looking for short positions. Hopefully not back down to new lows. Hopefully it would just be a little bit of a cool off at worst to hopefully just test the POC and send it back to the upside. So yeah, let me come in and check it on chat real quick. Let's see. I'd like to see the value area low. As I said, guys, funny enough, I've been talking about how like my preferred scenario throughout all this price action was to come back down to 91K, retest the value area low, and then send it to the value area high. Not the situation that I would just wait for, right? Or I was literally talking about how, I kind of feel like that probably won't play out because a lot of times the market will not give you what you want. And the fact that I really, really wanted that to happen, I figured probably not going to happen because, market likes to spit in your face. And that's exactly what happened, right? We never came back down there and we wound up shooting to the upside. But let's see. Yo, shout out to Dave Digital said, check mini super chat. What is a mini super chat? Hang on 1 second. Shout out to Dave Digital. Yo, shout out to Dave Digital. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He said, have you checked the 2-day and the 32-day? Shout out to Dave Digital. I have not checked. Let me talk about this, right? It's funny that you say that, actually, because even on the altcoins, right? I want to actually, let me double check this because I want to make sure that I have this exactly correct. Let me see here real quick. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's the same thing. Shout out to Dave. So the monthly green dot, this is kind of what makes me feel good. And if you guys watch the channel, you will know. I don't want to spend too much time on this, right? But like, as you know, once we came down here, we were not bearish, right? Obviously we were bearish for the move down. But as we came down to these lows, I did not think it was the bear market. And it's for very clear reason, right? We never broke significant structure. It was a 30% pullback, very common in bull markets. Not the time to panic, right? And even if it was the bear market, still not the time to panic, right? Like really what you want to do is wait for a retracement at least and then sell off what you have at break even or in profit before walking away, right? And I've been saying, right, a lot of people thought this was the bear market, and this still stands true. Well, I guess not really because we broke above the level, but, when we get the bounce here, whether this was going to be a bear market or not, right, this is not time to get bearish at the lows, right? And what do we have? We have massive bullish divergences. We look for the retracement into 97K, and if you thought that was the bear market, that 97K level was the place where you should have sold all your bags, right? Well, hopefully you didn't, right, because we did continue up, but when we look at the higher time frames, right, like number one, money flow on the daily gave us the idea that we were going to continue the bullish trend. We had massive bullish divergences into key level of support that we've been waiting for in the Discord literally since February and even earlier than that. We anticipated this drop down in January, right, saying, hey, if we do get a correction, a big bull market correction, if we get that first kind of big bull market correction, could bring us down between 80 and 75K. That's exactly what we got. We had the bullish divergences. At that point, we look for at least some kind of a macro retracement into 97K. Once we get up to the 97K golden pocket, we analyze money flow. We try to figure out what the context of the market is there. In that case, money flow is in the green. We look for higher lows and higher highs, and boom, we're back up towards that value area high. But another thing, right, other than all that, right, other than the fact that this was not necessarily that it was not a shocking drop to the downside if you were looking at the charts like we were, it was also not a surprising bounce as we had the bull divs. But another thing that looks kind of nice here, if I'm being quite honest, take a look at the monthly green dot, right? Monthly green dot is now printing. And if you backtest these guys, and I'm obviously going to pair this with other confluence, it's not just that we're trading green dots, but monthly green dots are typically very bullish, right? Monthly green dot here, right? We obviously already had a big move, but green dot prints here, VWAP comes up as we are approaching a potential breakout of a high. Green dot prints, boom, next leg to the upside. Now, we have the same thing happening. We're approaching the top of the volume profile, green dot printing, and shout out to Dave Digital. For the market cipher B 1/16th bullish setups, for the 30-day, that 1/16th setup is really going to be, I think the exact is it's like the 45-hour. But if you just compare this and round up and say, hey, look at the 2-day, 30-day green dot with a 2-day money flow crossover is the next thing that we need to see this thing continue up in a massive way. Now, we are a little bit overbought here. We could remain overbought for some time, but and again, nothing's going to go up in a straight line. We're very likely to get some kind of correction, at some point, either a little one or a big one. But 30-day green dot, and guys, we kind of just inched up these time frames. Go to the YouTube channel if you have not already, and watch my. Let me see here. Let me watch this video. Right, Market Cipher B. 4K day OP strategy. That is the thumbnail. Go watch that video. It'll teach you everything you need to know about the Market Cipher B116 strategy. And we use this to predict almost all these moves to the upside. This simple strategy. No like super advanced, crazy stuff. Just simply looking for high time frame green dots with the lower time frame money flow crossovers into the green. And we use this all the time. This daily money flow crossover into the red helped us identify that this range was likely to break down to sweep all this liquidity. That's why this drop was not another reason why this drop was not shocking to us, right? And when you look at this, right, let's actually go a little bit more local, right? More recently on the live stream the other day, right, we had the 8-hour green dot printing with the 30-minute money flow crossover, looking for the push up. We get it, right? And at that point, you have the daily money flow crossing over, looking for the continuation to the upside, right? And we had Market Cipher B116 setups with like almost all of these money flow crossovers. And the next one here, ever since we got the major daily, the next one here is going to be the 2-day money flow crossover. And the fact that we have the monthly green dot, which is the 1/16th, or the 2-day is 1/16th of the monthly, this is 100% setting up for a Market Cipher B 1/16th bullish setup on a super high time frame. Shout out to Dave Digital. It's funny that you bring that up. And yeah, I'm rounding. You have the exact number, but even if you just round up like that, right? Like 2-day, it's really the 45-hour. But the 2-day with the monthly green dot, this could be the signal to watch, guys. This could be the signal to watch. Pretty nuts. Pretty nuts. Even the 16-hour money flow crossovers continues your trend to the upside. Right? Then you're looking for the daily. You get up to the 97K rejection zone, but that money flow on the daily's coming up. You look for the trend to continue. If we get another correction, but we have the monthly green dot printing and the 2-day is crossing over, we can again anticipate the bigger trend to continue to the upside. Right? And if you look at this, the last 2-day money flow crossover that we had, right here, massive move to the upside. Right here, massive move to the upside. Now, you can't just trade this all alone. Granted, if you did, it would have played out very nicely. But I wouldn't just trade this alone, but it just goes to show, right? On top of all the other stuff we're seeing, this money flow's coming back up, guys. This is what we need, right? If we were coming up to that 97K zone and the daily money flow was crossing into the red and it looked really bearish, high probability that could have been a rejection from the golden pocket and a lower low was incoming. Very high probability. But that's not what we saw. We came up to that 97K level and daily money flow's coming up, keeping you on the right side of the market. And hopefully we could see that 2-day leak in here, crossing over into the green, get that monthly green dot. So all our monthly green dots have given us big legs to the upside that we just back tested, right? 2-day money flow crossovers line up with that, which makes sense, right? Monthly green dot, 2-day money flow crossover. We can take a look at it one more time. There's your, this is going to be hard to nail down on going back in hindsight, but 2-day green dot or VWAP really crosses over right here. Come down to your 2-day. I can almost guarantee you that 2-day money flow crossover was very close to where that line is going to be. Right there, right? And again, it's hard to do when you're moving around on the monthly because you're moving multiple days. But money flow crosses over with that monthly green dot. Boom. We have something very similar lining up here. Very similar. And even back here, I don't know if let's mark out that last 2-day money flow crossover. Take a look at the monthly. Also, directly in line with that monthly green dot. It's a setup that pops up not that often, but if this plays out anything like that, it all makes sense and it all lines up. I don't hate it. I'm not going to lie. And the altcoins are looking very similar. Now, I don't want to get too FOMO, oh my God, alt season incoming, right? But I'm not going to lie, right? The charts, a lot of these altcoins are reclaiming their value area lows. A lot of these altcoins have their 2-week green dots printing, right? 2-week green dot printing on Bitcoin, on a lot of the altcoins. And recently, or earlier this week, we had the daily green dots. I'll just pull up Ethereum. By the way, shout out to Ethereum. Hitting into the POC target. Unbelievable, guys. Unbelievable. But, the daily green dots, daily green dots with the 90-minute money flow crossovers into the green We looked at this on, what was it? I think Wednesday and Thursday. We started getting these green dots on the altcoins as a lot of them were reclaiming, like Cardano's a perfect example. We came up into the range. I mean, even back here, right? We break above the volume profile, flip that value area low to support. Next likely stop is the POC. At that point, right, you have money flow was trying to come up into the green here. We faked out a little bit. But at that point, you could look for higher lows into the golden pocket, anchored VWAP, and we get the higher high. We looked at this on the market update earlier, yesterday, right? Cardano was pumping into this POC, but what do we have? We have the green dot and the 90-minute money flow crossover, indicating that the trend would likely continue to the upside, and we're seeing that play out. The Market Cypher B 116 strategies have been absolutely slapping recently. We've been using it a lot, and they've just been playing out. Some market conditions, it's not as good for, right? But in this case, they are playing out very, very nicely, and just the fact that a lot of these altcoins are above their value area lows, this is bullish, right? We're inside value. We would expect the rotation of these volume profiles to continue as long as you stay above the POC, right? We have to be able to change if the market condition changes, but not only do you have the daily green dot with the 90-minute money flow crossovers, but those daily green dots are looking to print. Or, sorry, daily money flow looking to cross over into the green. 2-week green dot. Daily money flow crossover into the green. Could indicate a continuation to the upside. Monthly VWAPs on some of the alts, not as close to what we see on Bitcoin. They're not printing, but they are rolling to the upside. We took a look at this yesterday, too, right? The fact that the VWAPs are just rolling to the upside in general on the monthly is really what you want to see for a move to the upside. Last green dot on the monthly we had here was a massive rip to the upside. Green dot, massive move. Green dot, massive move. Now, I would never just trade that alone, like I said, but it's all lining up here. It's all lining up here. I'm not saying go FOMO into all these altcoins and, it's definitely going up, but, I mean, listen, there's a lot of stuff pointing in the right direction here on a lot of altcoins, right? And even just the local one, right? Daily money flow crossing over into the green on Ondo. We're going to take a deeper look at the altcoins as well, but I just kind of wanted to show that, right? Like a lot of this stuff, not only did they come down to their value area low with bullish divergences, like we looked at on Bitcoin, but money flow starts to come up. You anticipate the continuation of the trend. If this money flow comes back into the green, I mean, next major target for at least Ondo is going to be about $1.24, back up to the value area high. It's going to be the same thing on any other altcoin we look at. Next target, major target, sure, it's going to be noisy, might get some pullbacks, but value area high is the next major target, 100%. Unless we start losing the POC, right? Then the next major target probably is going to become the value area low. But as of right now, remain above these POCs, guys. Ondo already above the POC. Cardano already above the POC. And we have been tracking Cardano ever since it flipped here, right? Anticipating this. Let's see. Let me pull up Dogecoin, right? Down to its value area low. Bullish divergences on the higher time frames. This was also a macro golden pocket retracement. Pulled from the swing low to the swing high. If we're going to put in a higher low to eventually continue our bullish trend over the long term, break structure to the upside, this would be where's that likely going to come in at? Golden pocket, 786 retracement. We've come down into that, right? We didn't hit the 786, but we came into the golden pocket value area low confluence. Bullish divergences at the low. Doorway to higher prices. Break up, flip it to support. Next target would be the POC of the range. It's the same thing that we looked at on XRP, which did finally, we've been looking at this for a while, and this just goes to show, guys, with the volume profiles, sometimes it's noisy, sometimes it's messy, but more often than not, you get above your range, flip the value area low to support, the next likely target is the POC. You come up, you front run the POC. Oh, man, the profile didn't play out. Nope. You wind up coming to the POC. We've been waiting for this. We front ran it. But as you guys know, as long as we hold above that value area low, the doorway to the POC remains open and likely to be hit. And there we are. We finally come up and tap that between the 786, the POC, and the weekly. We almost tapped that weekly perfectly. So could you get continued a little turbulence here on XRP? Maybe. But what can we look at here? Well, hey, let's take a look at the daily. Money flow just starting to cross over into the green. If we could flip that to support, next target would be the value area high at 264. Doesn't mean we can't come down first, but as long as we remain above the value area low, doorway to the POC, and the value area high remains open. And based off the laws of the volume profile, like we always say, deviate above the high, push into the POC, bearish retest on the value area high. Once you get accepted into the range, POC value area low is likely, right? So in this case, when you approach from below, the expected kind of roadmap is flip the low, up to the POC. Could be messy, but as long as we hold in here, flip that POC, look up to the value area high. So there we go. Let's see. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything here in chat. Yes, Frankie's pumping the market. Shout out to Dynamic. Everybody buy right now. Let's go. Mafia, unite. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. We'll take a look at virtuals. Shout out to Juan. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate you. He said, can you check out Murbarak? Murbarak. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Did a 5x long on 0.028. Can you give me a quick analysis? Shout out to Juan. I will try. If we have time, I will try to take a look at Murbarak. I'm going to have to write that down. I don't know. Mubarak? I'm going to take a look at some other alts, and if we have time, I will try to get to that for you, bro. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. Super chats, reminder, super chats do not guarantee we look at your altcoin. I don't want people wasting their money thinking it's guaranteed, but we will try. It does help us see it. But yeah, let's see. So yeah, if you guys want to see your favorite altcoins, drop them in the chat. Rob, actually, I don't know if I saw Rob today. Shout out to No Assumption says, why is Frankie not extremely bearish? Well, simply, I mean, it depends on what you classify as extremely bearish, right? Actually, I talked about this earlier today. It depends, right? Like, am I bullish or bearish right now? Well, it really depends on the context of the question, right? I can say I'm a little bit bearish because we're at resistance. We have an 8-hour red dot printing. We have money flow trying to come out on the 24-minute, right? Looking to cross over into the red. Could give us the drop, right? Obviously, in the cards there. But with all the stuff that we just went over, daily money flow crossing into the green, 2-day money flow coming up, if that 2-day money flow crosses into the green with the monthly green dot, I mean, hey, even if we pull back down to the POC or, potentially even lower, right, I would still be looking for higher lows and higher highs just because of that higher time frame context. So I don't know exactly who said it. No assumptions. Shout out to you. I don't know exactly what you classify as like extremely bearish. But I mean, like, listen, pullbacks are definitely likely. I just wouldn't consider that long-term bearish. Same thing down here, right? A lot of people were confused. Like they're like. We looked for this drop down, right? So, but where are we bearish, right? We're bearish all the way up here, right? Looking for the drop to the downside. But then down here, I was saying it's not the bear market, and people are like, this guy's crazy. How is this not a bear market, right? It's like I'd never gotten asked more if it was the bear market, right? But I stood true, right? Like, I don't think it's the bear market. I could be wrong, right? But at the end of the day, even if we went a little bit lower, I still wouldn't have thought it was the bear market. But does that mean that I wasn't bearish for a move to the downside? Sure, we could be bearish for the move to the downside, but in the grand scheme of things, right? Hold above these hold above these highs. Overall, that's more bullish, right? This is we said this a lot, right? Overall bullish uptrend, higher highs on higher lows here, very clearly. We never broke significant structure here on the higher time frames, right? And that's why I said even down here, I'd be like, guys, Bitcoin is for sure in a bull market, right? Like this is like even if you just classify bull market as bullish trend, higher highs and higher lows, like we never broke that. Like once we've started breaking that, that's where I would start to feel a lot worse, right? But yeah, I would say like. I don't know. Like I'm overall bullish, right? Like I have been ever since down here. But it doesn't mean you can't get pullback. So if a drop to the POC is extremely bearish, I guess you can say that I'm open to an extremely bearish case for sure. But yeah, let's see. Can we look at ETH? Yes, let's take a look at Ethereum really quickly, and then shout out to Tyler Durden dropping the alt list. I appreciate you, bro. We got Ada Link and Litecoin, and I will freeball some of them as well. I almost put you in timeout, Tyler, which I'm pretty sure you would fire me if I did that, so I'm going to try not to do that. Shout out to Tyler Durden. Where is pin message? Why can't I pin this? The heck is going on? There we go. All right, boom. And yeah, I'll take a look at some others as well, but I just like to have that list so we can at least have like a roadmap of where we're going, right? So on Ethereum, obviously, guys, we all know on Ethereum, we had some very, very, very key levels that we've been covering for quite some time. I'll pull off these daily naked point of controls really quickly, right? So we have the lower volume profile. We broke back into it. Next cycle plays POC. We tap this POC. The more times you tap on a level, the more likely it is to open the door and let you through. Where our next major target, or not major target, but our next local target was the value area high at 1940. We barely got a reaction off of there, but if you zoom in enough, right, So they're not just willy-nilly levels, right? They do get some kind of respect at some point. Value area high, rejection, 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 flip it to support, and then we get the bigger move up, which is nice because as you guys know, this was only the beginning for Ethereum, right? The real level that we wanted to break on Ethereum that we have been looking at was the value area low, doorway to higher prices, key at $2,100. Because once we get above that $2,100 level, what is the next target for Ethereum? Somebody put it in the chat. I probably said this a million times, and I feel like everybody's going to know the answer to this. But that's your doorway to higher prices. It's the value area low of the range. Once you get accepted back into that value area low, the next likely place for price to go is CandleMafia's John Cena said value area high, which isn't wrong, but I'm looking for something else. POC, baby. Shout out to Dave Hagen. So, yeah, get above that value area low. That is your doorway to higher prices. More specifically, the point of control of the range, which is literally where we are sitting right now. So, major target attacked on Ethereum, right? We also came up and tapped the anchored VWAP from the high here, right? Absolutely beautiful. This is literally the levels that we looked at yesterday and the day before. Anchored VWAP, POC, $2,300 POC. Anchored VWAP was coming in, I think, closer to like 2,500, but now sitting at about 2,419. This level obviously moves over time. And here we are, getting above here, breaking above the value area low, send it to the POC. At this point, right, maybe you get a little turbulence, but as long as we can remain either above the POC or just in general above this value area low, we would anticipate, shout out to John Cena, the eventual continuation through the rest of this profile up to the value area high, right? And this is very similar, right? Bitcoin's always the first mover, but when we look at this, Bitcoin's already at its already broke above its macro retracement. Bitcoin's sitting up here at this macro 786 retracement. I don't have the fib on this one, but let me just pull it real quick. Right? From the high all the way to the low that we made, we're sitting right at that 786. So Ethereum is kind of like doing something like this. Let me actually pull up the current range, right? Ethereum's doing something more like this. Right? We're breaking that major structure, getting above the value area low. Now we're at the POC. This is the macro golden pocket retracement for Bitcoin. The macro golden pocket retracement for Ethereum sitting all the way up here at $3,000, right? But it is very similar here, right? We break all that larger structure. We get back into the range, stay above here. We might be able to continue that move up towards that golden pocket, right? And the value area high as a final target. Not a final target, but like the next major target, right? So very nice here, guys. Very, very nice. I don't hate this. And again, it doesn't mean that we can't get a dump over the weekend or pull back. But overall, monthly or 2-week green dot printing, daily money flow crossing over into the green. The idea here is pullbacks are lackluster for higher lows and higher highs. Bitcoin didn't give us the beauty of coming back down to the value area low. I would love that if we could cool off to the value area low, get bullish confirmations, and then send it. That would be preferred for me. But remember, the market does not care about your preferred situation. So always remember that. Let's see. Satoshi Glakamoto in the chat. What is going on, bro? Shout out to Hulk Hogan. Let's go. Shout out to Hulk Hogan. Is Hulk Hogan in the chat right now? Let's see. Dave Digital dropping the POCs in the chat. Shout out to Captain Kirk leaving. Have a great night, Cap. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you, and have a good and safe night at work. We appreciate you. Shout out to Dave said, but Frankie Candles, ETH is so far behind where Bitcoin is. It has some catching up to do. Absolutely. Shout out to Dave. But typically, Bitcoin is that first mover, right? Ethereum usually lags behind. So it's kind of just like what you would expect. But yeah, for sure. Yeah, like, I mean, Bitcoin's sitting up here pretty much, right? If you're looking at it from a Fibonacci standpoint. From the high to the swing low, 786 sitting up here. You know, contextually, Bitcoin's at the 786 retracement, right? And again, right, like we look at the weekly here. There's those big highs that we really wanted to get above, flip the value area low to support. I mean, it's just like, look at the volume profile, right? Like, get above the low, hold it as support, POC is next, flip the POC, value area high is likely next. Same thing on the way out, right? Deviate above, get back in, get accepted into the range, POC, value area low, back above the POC, back to the high, deviate above, acceptance in, POC, you kind of wick to the value area low there, but eventually you do break down below, deviation below, back in, we flip that to support, we could see that full rotation. You know, that is, based off the laws of the volume profile, what you would look for. But then we want to add other stuff into that, right? Well, hey, we do have the 2-week green dot. We do have the money flow starting to cross over into the green on the daily, right? And compare that to Bitcoin. Or how does that compare to Bitcoin, rather? pull up the daily time frame. Well, hey, Bitcoin, well, actually pull up the weekly real quick. Bitcoin breaks above those highs, pushes into the value area low. Once you get above the value area low, money flow crosses into the green. You anticipate the move to the POC, golden pocket, and the continuation continues. Continuations continue typically. And that's based off the money flow, right? So it's somewhat similar. It's not exactly the same, but we're back in the value area. We're at the POC. Money flow starting to cross over into the green on the daily. Could be looking for higher lows, flip that POC, and higher highs. That would be the, at least currently and medium term, the best case scenario, right? And just the volume profiles in general, right? Like, not a lot of people thought that this was going to continue all the way down to the value area low, but if you just traded the typical volume profile theory, even without anything else, it's like, well, hey, getting accepted into this range. Are we about to fill this thing? Fill it in full. Same thing here. Oh, my God, everything, oh, my God, super bearish. We're dumping. Bear market, bear market. Oh, we flipped the value area low. Are we really about to get that massive move up to $3,500? Volume profile called for it, and it plays out. More often than not, you will see those VPs treat you correctly. So, yeah, I mean, just looking at that money flow in general, it does not look bad. And I want to be very clear. This does not mean that if we pull back tonight, that's all invalidated, right? It's not like, oh, what the heck? I thought we were bullish. And, what happened? I thought money flow was in the green. You could easily get pullbacks. But, again, money flow indicates the overall trend continuation, not the instant ups and downs. So, got the green dot. That gives us the ebb to the upside. Maybe we wiggle around here. We get a red dot on the daily. It cools us off. But as long as we can hold some of those inside this range, I mean, a very simple way to approach this is look at the macro profiles. As long as we stay in the range, we could be looking up towards the POCs and the value area highs. Very simply put. Same thing on XRP. This is why I like covering this stuff like every day. XRP, obviously we just went over this. Same exact thing, right? Get back into the range. Hey, if we stay above here, POC, door to the POC is open. And it even tried to fake you out here. And still, you come up and tap that POC. It's like magic. Literally like magic. Shout out to the volume profiles. And shout out to everybody tuned in right now. Smash that like button if you guys are learning something or you've been tuning in as we've been looking at these levels for quite some time. Shout out to No Assumptions. Frankie, why are you not extremely bearish? I don't know. Shout out to No Assumptions. We actually just answered that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I have not been extremely bearish. I mean, again, it's all based off context, right? Like, I could be extremely bearish here, but that doesn't mean that I'm bearish for the bull market to be over, right? Like, I could be extremely bearish here, looking for a massive move to the downside, while still remaining long-term bull market bullish, right? It's the same thing here. Like, was I bearish when we were putting these lows in here, right? Like, was I saying, hey, we could put a lower high in here for a lower low? Would that be bearish? Yes, I'd be like, that's bearish. Money flows in the red on the 2-day. Any bounces are going to be lower highs and lower lows. So I would be extremely bearish in that case. But if someone said, are you bearish long term? I'd be like, heck no. I'll be bearish for this move down, but if we come down here and put in bullish signs, like bull market on, right? Like, so yeah, it's all context. But yeah, so, I could be bearish at a high here for a move down, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe we reject here and it goes into a full bear market. But yeah, I just don't see it. Let's see. Shout out to K Diggity in the chat. What is going on, bro? Welcome in. Gen Z got his hat. Gen Z, did you get a hat? Shout out to Gen Z. I hope somehow you got a hat. Let's see. Oh yeah. So let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance real quick. Shout out to Fast Easy Cash. I thought we looked at Bitcoin. Sometimes I do my 2-hour premium live stream right before this. So sometimes I like, oh, we already looked at that, but we didn't. I was on the premium. But yeah, let's pull this up real quick. So the one good thing here is that we're losing the POC, right? That would be, as you guys know, recently we got above that POC. At that point, the next target to the upside would be the 786. And to look for massive moves, and it's not just the dominance, right? It's also the way that the altcoin charts look. With the high time frame divs at the low, money flow coming up, daily money flow coming up, 2-week green dots, monthly VWAPs coming up, all that stuff as well. But your best chance to look for alt season, right? Is it going to be the alt season, like a real alt season, or is it going to be like a little fake out, little altcoin pump and then more lows? I don't know. Very hard to say. But the thing to look for here, as we've been looking at, is, well, hey, if we come up to the 786, that's the next best place to get a rejection. So that could be something that we look at to anticipate if alts are going to pump. Or if we don't come up to the 786, we would at least want to lose the POC. So the if this and that was like, wait till we get up here, either to see a rejection or if we break down first, lose that POC. That could be nice, right, for altcoins. Even if we just go to the value area low, right? Like this would be a, I don't know, from the high to the low, right? Let's say we get like a 7% drop. What was this? Yeah, like a 9% drop. Like you guys know what happened here. Alts were ripping here, right? It wasn't even that big of a drop down. So, goal here would be to stay underneath this POC, right? If we, play around here, reclaim it, I would still be looking up towards the 786. But if we can get stuck under here, start closing multiple daily candles, could be looking down towards the value area low, which would be good for altcoins, which lines up with how the charts look on the altcoins, right? The daily green dots, etc. Everything we just looked at. Also, something that we looked at yesterday was tether dominance, right? Which we literally looked at this exact thing. You get above this value area high, bearish divergences, you come back down to the high, right? You get accepted back into the range, back to the POC, back to the low. This correlates with massive pumps on alts, right? And we now have tether dominance breaking back down below this value area high. So if we can remain underneath this value area high, POC might be next, and then the value area low might be next. We might, and we have the same thing, bearish divergences above the high, and now we're breaking down. It's like literally like almost the exact, it's like literally almost the exact same thing, right? Doesn't mean it has to play out exactly the same, but I mean, literal bear divs and losing the value area high, right? So that would be nice as well. And we pulled this up side by side, right? With XRP, actually. So if you look at this, last time we had that drop from the value area high to the value area low, XRP, for example, went on a massive run. If we do that same thing, maybe we're getting ready to go on another massive run. Potentially, right? I wish I could just say, buy right now, it's definitely going up, right? But, we're just analyzing the charts and figuring out the probabilities. So don't look that bad, right? And that's on top of everything else we just looked at, right? It's not just one thing. It's not just two things, right? It's like a all-encompassing confluence between so many different things. So, yeah, there you go. Bitcoin dominance and Tether dominance. Losing that POC is on the Tether Bitcoin dominance is not bad. And losing that value area high on Tether dominance, also not that bad. Also, the way the alts look on the higher time frames could also, right, be nice. Holding above the value area lows with high time frame money flow coming up and green dots. I want to make $1 million this year. Shout out to Bitfrog. I think he could do it, bro. I think he could do it. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Gen Z said I'm going to be... Wait, did Gen Z get a hat? How did Gen Z get a hat? Shout out to Gen Z. He said I'm going to be like Dave and have a new pick with a hat. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Shout out to Mikey said, do you think that news releases are sometimes foretold in chart patterning? Mikey, that's all I pay attention to, brother. Absolutely. Show me the charts. I'll tell you the news every single time. Every single time. Every single time. I'm kidding. Sometimes you get news and price just moves. But for the most part, listen, does news move price? Sure, right? But, I mean, the amount of times you can see the signs on the chart before the news comes out is, like, uncanny. It's absolutely insane, right? So I'm not saying the news is, like imaginary and it doesn't matter at all. But more often than not, like, let's just assume this move up was triggered by Trump saying crypto to the moon or whatever. It's a tweet, whatever it is. There's a news catalyst that happens here, right? Maybe it happens here. More often than not, you're going to see those bull divs all the way down there before the news comes out, almost every single time. So again, it's not that news doesn't move price, but as a matter of fact, sometimes I avoid the charts. I avoid trading on news days. Sometimes on FOMC. Like I don't typically look for new positions on FOMC unless we get a nice setup because it gets very volatile, right? Especially FOMC. But for the most part, yeah, 100%. You could totally see what's going on in the charts first. Will it play out 100% of the time? No, but more often than not, it will. Let's see. Chart me the show and I'll news you the tell. Shout out to Hamza. Let's go. Simply put. Let's see. I think news can enhance market sentiment. Yes. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's like for me personally, like if I get a bullish divergence like this with money flow coming up, like I am not going to yeah, it's just like funny. And just let the news fill in. Just trade the charts, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, we got bullish news. But the news comes in here, and you were looking for the long down there. in my opinion, like you can't really trade news. If you're trading news, you're too late, right? That's my opinion, though. I'm sure some people out there are able to do it. Yo, shout out to Arturo says, when Lambo on the moon? Shout out to Arturo. I would say Lambo on the moon, October 15th at 3 p.m. There you go. I'm just kidding. All right, so let's continue on here. We took a look at, let's actually just jump in the link. Here we are. Above the value area low. Above the POC. This is generally what I would be looking at, right? Stayed above the low. POC was next. Now we're above the POC. As long as we can hold above this POC, we could look for another move up to that value area high. Let me see here from the high to the low. Yeah, you have like local fib confluence on that golden pocket POC 786. So yeah, just simply it's the POC is your key level support. Could act as a magnet. You could kind of like lose it, play around with it. Remember, the POC is the highest, strongest magnet within the profile, the area where the highest volume was traded. And it just makes it act as a magnet, right? So, you could play around with it a little bit, just like on Solana, right? When we looked at Solana down here, we said, hey, flipping the value area low, next likely place to go, POC, flip the POC. As long as we stay above that, next stop, value area high, 786 anchor VWAP. Now we're breaking above that. But looking at Link, right? Same thing, right? Maybe we see it kind of chill out like Solana, bounce off the POC. I don't know. Maybe we just shoot up. But yeah, lower time frame. Take a look at the 3-hour money flow coming up. Yeah, it's hard for me to be looking for like mega dumps here in the middle of a profile. At least on Bitcoin, you're at the value area high. You're at resistance. You could look for a pullback. And sure, you could pull back here, but it's hard for me to be like, oh my God, this is a major level. We're about to break to new lows, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. I like this. Take a look at the 2-week. 2-week green dot is looking to print as well. Daily money flow crossing over into the green. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Don't look that bad. So, yeah, key level 1432 on Link. POC sits at 1432. Value area low, also key support at 1170. Break it, the all-time high. The value area high is sitting at $20.68, and this is just pretty much what I would expect. If we pull up some of these key levels real quick. Oh, I don't have a new chart for this, unfortunately. See if I have any... I'm just hoping that some of these levels... we did have a... No, that was tapped. All right, yeah, that kind of stinks. I thought I had an updated link chart, but what I could do here is I'm just mark off this weekly real quick. You got a weekly level up here because these are going to be levels that will likely give you a decent bit of turbulence if you do continue up. Weekly sitting at 1860. Like the overall thought process is value area low, flip the POC, value area high, as always, right? But you do have some local resistance in here. 1869, you have a weekly. You're above these highs. This is what you want to see. These are potential signs of strength here on some of these alts if we could stay above these highs. So you got the weekly. Let me see if we have any significant mod. You only have a monthly at the high. Take a look at the daily. You have a daily horizontal right here. Just barely missed that today. Boom. You have that's tapped. That's barely front ran there. But even here, right? Like pull your fib from the low to the high. Where's that high? Boom. Right? Get above your value area high. Hit the POC. Money flow at the time was trying to come up, right? Where are you looking for your higher lows? Within your golden pocket 786. You get the blast above the POC. So at this point, pull to the high. Confluence on the POC. I'd say even if we cool off, as long as we can hold here, could be looking up towards 1770 would be the next local level. Above that, 1869. And then above that, you do have the value area high at 2068. Not too shabby. And I will say if we're going to get bigger corrections, again, value area low is the biggest key level to hold above, preferably the POC. But if you lose that, you could still come down and test the value area low. But I would say if we're going to get a bigger correction, watch these high time frame red dots looking to print, right? Because like even on Bitcoin, we had the... 3-day VWAP coming down, 4-day VWAP coming down, right? So these do take time to play out, but once those print, that's probably where we're going to get the next significant retracement, right? But other than that, money flow all is looking like pretty decent. So right now, as far as things stand, any pullbacks are higher lows and higher highs, in my opinion. So yeah, there we go. What about Solana? Yeah, we could take a look at Solana really quickly. Bada boom, bada bing. Okay, let's take a look at Solana. Let's come back over to the alt chart, right? Okay, so Solana, we actually have someone to talk about now. Every time we checked in on this, it's like, all right, we're just still above the POC. We hold above it. Looking up here to between 167 and 158. We slammed into the anchored VWAP 786 value area high, and we are starting to get a little push to the upside. So I'm going to take this purple box off the chart because we have smashed through that. 786 was flipped to support. That's very nice to see. Boom, boom. So yeah, as of right now, your next level of resistance above is going to be the daily at 178.74. 4-hour money flow trying to cross over into the green. 10-hour red dot looking to print. 16-hour red dot looking to print. You do have some divergences here as well. So anytime you have divergences near key support, sometimes you can get a pullback. But again, money flow is going to be king. Money flow just crossed over into the green here. So any pullbacks still have to be looked at as lackluster pullbacks for continuations to the upside. So next target to the upside or next local resistance level is going to be 178.74. Above that, we could be approaching the next doorway to higher prices / value area low sitting right here, 191.51. Get above there, flip that to support. I mean, you got a daily above, but at that point, you might be able to get accepted into your bigger range. Attacking that macro golden pocket 786 retracement, getting closer to about 218, all the way up to 250. It is worth noting that you are deviating above a value area high, right? So key support right now would be the value area high, because if we get accepted back into the value area high, you might be able to get one more little pullback, right? So yeah, I would be careful of that. If I were to watch one of them, it would probably be the higher hourly time frame bearish divergences. Lower highs, higher highs, 16-hour, lower highs, higher highs. If that red dot prints, you might be able to get a cool off. Your hope here would be to hold the value area high as support at 166.87. If you lose that level, you'll have the anchor VWAP underneath you. But, you would just, if you get the bigger rejection, you're just looking at this as a volume profile. So let's say we do get confirmations up here. You get accepted back into the range. You lose the anchored VWAP. At that point, right, you could look at your Fibonacci retracements from the impulse to the high, right, which actually comes in pretty close to your anchored VWAP, right? So hopefully you can hold that. But anytime you get accepted back into a range, the probability of coming to the POC it naturally increases, right? So you would have to hold one of these fib levels. This would be a nice level to look at, in my opinion, just because you have the golden pocket 786. You also have the structural highs here as well. Pull this as a volume profile. Yeah, value area high, POC comes right in on that 786. So I would watch this. These are honorable mentions. Obviously, it's hard to say, right? Because, this is the area where you want to be looking for shorts. But based on the high time frame context here, right, I wouldn't be looking for like giga shorts here down to new lows, right? They would have to be looked at as scalps until proven otherwise, right? And in this case, if you enter a short up here and you do come down, you have to be looking to cover yourself here at that value area high because you could bounce there. If you get accepted in, maybe you get the bigger play out to the golden pocket 786. So yeah, I would say, more confluence here, 150. So if you do break back into the range, your hope here is just to kind of continue up. But again, it's a really hard decision, right? Like for the short, it's a little bit clearer, right? Again, context here, I wouldn't really necessarily expect. I think there is a chance based off money flow and everything else we just looked at that if you did take a short here, you could look at it in context of the range, right? Well, hey, get back below the high. We could look to go to the POC, lose the POC, go to the low. I just don't know how high probability that is because we have the high time frame money flow coming into the green, right? A lot of people ask me, well, Frankie, I see the volume profiles. I know how to trade them. I get it. Shorts at the highs, longs at the lows. I know the confirmations. I've been crushing those ranges, but how do I know if it's going to take off out of that range? Because prices ranges 80% of the time, but it doesn't range 100% of the time, right? So how do you know? And oftentimes that sign is money flow. Right here, we could say, well, hey, money flow's in the red. So we get accepted back into this range. The fulfill of that range is very likely, right? Here, if this money flow continues up, you have to anticipate higher lows and higher highs. Where are the higher lows likely to come in at? Golden Pocket 786 retracements are usually good places to look at. You just have to be careful because you are going to come right up into resistance. But overall context, as long as that daily money flow, higher time frame money flow continues up, you would be looking for higher lows and higher highs. If you break back into this range, POC becomes your next target, your next major level of support. And I can get rid of this because this already wound up playing out, bouncing off the Golden Pocket. So yeah, I mean, 150 would be a pretty decent level to hold. Even 156 right here. That would be the impulsive fib. Could probably even mark it out like this to the actual low. So I would say for the fib retracement, I would say, what if I pull it down here? Yeah, I would say like, yeah, right around here. 155.14, 148.82. That would be a nice level to hold. Once you lose that, POC is your next key level support. Because again, just like I showed on Bitcoin before, sometimes you peak above, retest the POC, and then send it, right? Something we see happen a lot. So yeah, those are local levels I'll be looking at. And let me just see this for fun. Yeah, you know, you have another fib confluence here on the POC. So if you lose all those levels, POC, massive level on everything. Anything that's at the above its POC, that is the key level of support. And again, based on the context, it's not always that we're looking for a massive bounce off the POC. It has everything to do with the context of the market right now. If we had money flow coming out and not freshly crossing over into the green, I would probably, you know, be way less likely to look for longs at a POC, right? I would be expecting to lose it and fill the range in full. But in this case, with money flow coming up, we have a potential possibility of putting in higher highs and higher lows. That's what I would look for. Daily at 178.74. Next major doorway to higher prices, 191.98. So there we go. Yo, shout out to Crypto Pollo. Let's get it, baby. Let's go. Give to those Frankie Candles memberships. We appreciate you, Crypto Pollo. Let's get it. I hope you're doing well, bro. Let's go. Shout out to Crypto Pollo. Shout out to, Pollo says, why is a hippo called Mudang Rip 150%? Jeez, these memes, man. Yeah, shout out to, shout out to Crypto Pollo. Yeah, I mean, listen, the memes be pumping. Pepe coming into its anchored VWAP from the high here. Fartcoin, we now have a Fartcoin chart, which is nice. I'll hide those older levels real quick. And there we are. We actually looked at this yesterday. I don't know what was yesterday. Yesterday was the 8th, and now we've come up to the value area high. And again, value area low, POC, hold above the POC, value area high. Very, very simply put. Beautiful. That's actually really clean. So yeah, and again, you know, listen, you pull up the daily time frame, money flows in the green. Until that money flow starts coming out, higher lows and higher highs are to be expected. But that does not mean that you cannot pull back from here, right? Just understand, you can look for shorts at a value area high, especially if you can get bearish confirmations. But you just have to understand the context would be like, hey, I got to be careful. I'm looking at the shorts as scalps until proven otherwise in a bullish trend like this. Let's see. Shout out to Darren says, Pollo, my spot mean bag only 40% down now. Shout out to Darren does things. How's our good old COQ doing? Still at 0. Love it. Let's see. All right. So we took a look at ADA. We took a look at Link. Let's take a quick look at Litecoin. I don't think I have a Litecoin chart on here. I know we have one. Question is the Binance chart? Yes. Okay. So let's see here. This POC is value area low. And okay, so this actually bounced off the value area low. POC and value area high are very close to each other up here, but we did have the Golden Pocket 786 retracement as well. Value area high, let me get rid of this. Value area high, Golden Pocket broken. I could take this Golden Pocket off the chart. Once you break above the Golden Pocket, next likely place for price to go is the 786. Yeah, you do have some bear divs. You're deviating above a volume profile, right? So again, this is typically looked at as a little bit overvalued. But again, the high time frame context, fresh, money flow crossover into the green. Not too bad. I don't hate that, right? That means if we keep that money flow in the green, higher lows and higher highs are more likely. Doesn't mean you can't pull back from here. Next key level, we broke above the golden pocket. 786 is next at 102.30. Once you break above that 786, to be quite honest with you, do I have that in a folder? Of course I don't, so I'm going to have to hide this manually. Your macro upper value area low from 2021, the real doorway to higher prices. Like, this is a big boy doorway to higher prices. Okay, everybody calm down. Everybody calm down. Okay, there we go. Macro doorway to higher prices. You can see we tried to go. Big rejection. This is still a macro doorway to higher prices. We're basically in Litecoin's bear market range. We don't get bearish at the value area lows, right? Same thing on the first approach down here, right? This is where we look for a big rip up on a lot of stuff, right? Based off the Bitcoin dominance, rejecting the golden pocket, etc., right? And we were deviating below the value area low. Same thing here. Tap into the value area low, move up to the high. Really, you flip that 786, your next key level is 112.99, 111.68 rather. That's your doorway at higher prices. Get above that, flip it to support. POC is likely next. You're going to have some other local resistance. That's why I had this local range pulled here. But for the most part, that journey, once you flip that value area low, can hopefully not do what it did here and finally get accepted in here and get the bigger move up. So yeah, biggest levels right now. Flip that 786, which actually, to be honest, well, I'm going to keep that there. I'm going to pull a full from the high to the low here. Yeah, I mean, that lines up perfectly. So break above that 786. This is your next zone. Start flipping that to support. Look for that continuation up through the profile. The goal here is to go from one balanced area to another. Balanced price down here. When we impulse out, price is going to seek out fair value. If we can get accepted into this upper fair value, we will likely respect that range. It's the same thing that we looked at on the last approach when the altcoins were pumping. It's literally the same exact stuff. The same exact levels. Even on Dogecoin, right? And even Sheeb. Sheeb was even clearer than that, right? Here's your massive doorway to higher prices. We approach it. We tried to go. Nah, not really. Put in a higher low. Second approach, doorway to higher prices. You finally flip it. Massive move up. Deviate above, come back in, can't get out, back to the low. Now we're back in the range. We would have to be looking for that next target. Just like on XRP, when we dip below the value area low, we hold it, we look for the POC to get hit. Get above the low, hold it, wait for the POC to get hit, which we just hit. It's the same thing here on Dogecoin. Bull divs at the low, money flow crossing into the green. We're accepted into the upper value. Higher lows and higher highs into the POC would be generally what we expect next, right, for the long-term move. See if we can get there. Can we see a 25 cent Dogecoin soon? Money flow says possible. Being in the upper value says it's possible. Putting in a higher low on a golden pocket is typically what you want to see for a continuation up, not only to the POC, but for the continuation of the uptrend, breaking structure to the upside. So there we go. Let's see. Shout out to Giga Longbot and said, Frankie, do you use fibs to forecast at all or mainly retracements? No, shout out to Giga Longbottom. The whole reason that we looked, I have a bunch of stuff on this chart right now. Let me fix that. Bada boom. I'll just get rid of this local fib. Actually, is it on this chart? Whoops. Get rid of this drawing. So, yeah. So, I do use the Fibonacci extensions for targets, right? So, major target number one, I made a video about this when we started to break into our previous volume profile, I believe, above 30K. Started pulling some major retracements from the high to the low. Look at the extension levels to find our targets during the bull market, right? Target number one, ever since we pulled that fib from the low, has been, I know it sounds crazy, guys, but maybe one day we could see Bitcoin at 101 to 102K or 91 to 102K. That was our first target based off Fibonacci extensions. Price wiggled its way up, broke out of its macro value area, pushed into our first target. Where do we get hung up? Right in that zone. if we break these highs, I would say the next major all-time high that I would be looking at for in the long term, right? We're going to have local levels in here between 118, 124,000. But if we could crack those highs and put in a massive new all-time high, 130, almost 137K, 103.8K, up to 155.3. That would be the next level that I would expect, right, or anticipate to get respected like this, right? So break these highs, price is probably gonna, once it gets up here, that would be an area where we'd be looking for resistance again. I don't know exactly how it's going to look going up there, but that's going to be the next major Fibonacci target in my opinion, right? And the first one wound up working out perfectly, right? We literally came up, back down, back up, right? We just hung out in that range. Beautiful target. So yeah, very unlikely, right, that we just come up to this one target during the bull run. That'd be crazy if the bear market is here. But I'm sure nobody thinks that now. Everybody thought it down here. And I was like, I feel so alone sometimes. Like, coming down to the lows, like, I don't know, guys. Not enough to call a bear market. I feel so alone. It makes me second-guess myself sometimes. I never actually act on it, but it makes me think, like, am I missing something? Everyone thinks it's the bear market, and I'm sure everybody just thinks it's the bull market, right? But this is not the time, right? This is where you want to start getting bullish, right? You don't want to get bullish after the move. I don't know. But, yeah, let's see. But there's a shout out to Aziz says there's a historic fib at 173K. Shout out to Aziz. I'm not 100% sure exactly what you mean by like a historic fib. You mean like pulled from like maybe a different, like from here to here maybe? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure exactly what you mean by historic fib. But yeah, this extension runs all the way up to 208,000. That does not mean that I'm going to hold Bitcoin until 208,000. Take profit along the way is typically the way to go. And if you went through the 2021 bull market and you did not do that, you probably learned your lesson pretty hard. Much better to take either partial profits or just not try to wait for the top, right? Like just try to sell along the way, right? Hit a major target. In my opinion, they're always going to be Fibonacci targets, right? Take a little off the table. Hit your next fib level. Take a little off the table, right? So yeah, you know, I'm not just going to sit here and hold all my Bitcoin until 209K, right? Because what happens if we don't get there? Well, we have to get there. They also thought we had to go to 100K last cycle. Never happened, right? So just remember that. Let's see. Shout out to Tony D. Said, yeah, we got to jump into giveaways real quick. Shout out to Alan. Said we never hit into that old range. Shout out to Alan. I assume you're talking about this range. And yes, you are correct. We did not hit into this range. This would have been, luckily, we didn't have to deal with this, right? Like, that would have been, I said this a ton of times on the stream, like, I don't want to have to deal with these highs because it starts to get sketchy. If you just pull this range, right, I'm just going to leave this purple for now. If we wound up coming lower here, right, the key level that we bounced off here was the weekly naked point of control. It was the first Fibonacci retracement that we would look for a higher low on, right, which is just simply pulled from the impulse where we got impulsive all the way to the high. Golden pocket 786. This was the first opportunity to put a major higher low in. If we broke that 786, that's where we would look down to the August 5th low fib, right? Sitting between $72,000 and $70,000. And if we come down in here, right, still that's an area you could put in a higher low and a higher high, right? But if you start slipping here, it gets really sketchy because it's like, are you going to slip here, put in a higher low and send it? Or are you going to get stuck in this value area and fill it in full? That was not a situation I wanted to deal with. That would have been such a hard call to make. Very difficult. I'm so happy we didn't have to deal with that. And hopefully we don't have to if we come back down. Hopefully we don't have to deal with that. It'd be a very, very sketchy situation. But yeah, I assume that's probably the range you're talking about. And yes, we definitely did not come in and tap that. All right, let's see. When you say green dot, you're talking about big green dot or small green dot associated with the blue wave. Shout out to Bearded McMike. I am talking about more often than not, right? I usually say double green dot if we're talking about the one of these, right? So I'll say like double green dot. These are just, I believe these pop up when you break below a certain oversold level here. I believe that's what prints those. It's just kind of like an extra oversold green dot. But when I say green dot, I'm normally referring to the small green dots. Are they physically bigger? I think they are. Are they? Are these the same size? Is this an illusion? It does look slightly bigger. But is that an illusion? Oh no, it is smaller. Okay. Yeah, so I'm usually talking about small green dots. If I mention one of these, I'll just say double green dot, right? Oh, double green dot. But yeah. Let's see. Bada boom. Thanks, brother. No problemo, man. That's why I'm here. Yeah, Fear and Greed Index is back in the creed. Unbelievable. Shout out to Connor, said, yo, Frankie, do you use trend-based fibs, fib times or nah? Connor, I not usually. No. I'd probably the simple answer to that is no. Not that you shouldn't, not that it's not good. Just I just don't personally use them that much. Maybe I should. Shout out to Frankenstein. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate you so much. He says 4-year cycle or no. Like, do I think the 4-year cycle is intact? I mean, it's funny enough, I was actually just on the phone with my dad, and we were talking about Bitcoin, and I was talking to him about the cycles. I mean, listen, if we compare this to previous cycles, I mean, it's definitely different. Like, I think in my opinion, every cycle has a little bit of a quirk to it, right? So every cycle is a tiny bit different. A little bit. History rhymes. It doesn't always repeat, right? But if we look here, right, as far as, for me personally, again, everyone thought this was the bear market. I took the risk. I was like, I just don't think it's the bear market, right? Number one, we never broke major structure. Number two, from a 4-year cycle perspective, I just still think we have some bull in us. And, you know, if we look back at the previous cycle, from the halving to the all-time high, the numerical all-time high, 550-ish days, right? That would bring us, right, timing-wise, assuming that we don't have some kind of weird thing change in the cycle, which is definitely possible. This is not ever going to be 100% accurate. But if you bring that over 550 days, 553 days about, that brings us to about October 27th-ish, right? If we go back another cycle, from the halving to the all-time high, 540 days. Pretty creepy, right? Pretty creepy. Let's go back another cycle. This one I think is different. This one is like 364 days, right? So this one was a little shorter. This was a long time ago. Bitcoin was a different animal back then. But 364 days. Here's something interesting about this. Come to the 2021 cycle, measure from the halving to the first high, 336 days. Talk about creepy, right? And funny enough, people thought this was a bear market. I wouldn't consider that a traditional 4-year cycle bear market, but it's like, hey, 336 days marked a major top, and then the all-time high came in 556 days after the halving, 556 days after the halving, and then in this cycle back here, 336 days, 336 days to the first top. Interesting, right? So, you know, they definitely rhyme. You know, how many days were we in here? 237 days. So, yeah, I mean, technically, if we're going to look for, you know, say between, even if you say between 336 days and 546 days or whatever, right? Like, just kind of split the difference there. Like, I don't know. Like, still have some room to go there. And if you go for 550 days, you still got a little bit of time. Again, this wouldn't be a rule that I look at that, like, here, at the end of the day, guys, if the chart said bear market, I would say, that's it, I got to go with that, right? If we came up here and I saw enough to say that, hey, this is probably the bear market, I would call the bear market, right? Or I would just use that as my bias, right? But that just wasn't the case for me personally. So, you know, regardless of the timing or the month that we top out in, if the chart says it's bearish, I'm going to say that's bearish, right? Yeah, it's very hard. Like, you see a lot of, I said this earlier today in the premium live stream, you see a lot of people calling for alt season happens on this day or this month. That doesn't really do anything for me. Like, a lot of people said February alt season, and maybe there are things that I don't look at that could point to the time. But at the end of the day, when you look at the chart in February, it didn't look very bullish, right? So the chances of alt season happening are probably pretty low. It doesn't matter what month it is. The chart doesn't care what month it is, right? It cares about buying, selling, liquidity, and the things that actually move the market. So yeah, 4-year cycle, definitely a thing. And yeah, it's definitely something I track. And I do think these cycles will change over time, right? For sure. So yeah. Exactly. Shout out to Code. Shout out to you, bro. Let's see. Shout out to Young Money. Young Money, let's go, baby. But we got some giveaways to do, guys. We got some giveaways to do. So let's go ahead and yeah, Tony, you want to start rolling the giveaways? I'm just gonna come up in chat here real quick, make sure I did not miss anything. Bada boom, bada bing. Black and gray hat next. Ready? Already got the caramel and blue. Bro, the caramel and blue is fire. The caramel and blue is actually my favorite. That's one of my favorite. Actually, I think it's probably my favorite. My least favorite, low key, this one. Actually, no. My least favorite one is the one with the black speckles on it. Yo, shout out to J. Cole said, where's the Fox 3 guy in chat that kept spamming that we're going to 0 and we all need to sell? Yeah, shout out to J. Cole. Listen, anytime you hear anybody say, and oh, look at this hair, guys. What is going on here? What is this about? But here's the thing. If I ever come up here, CandleMafia, and I tell you, actually, no. If I tell you everybody should sell, I'll never say that, right? I'm never going to tell you what to do. I'm not a financial advisor, and I could be wrong, right? But I would say if I ever did come in, something's probably bad, and maybe you should listen, but no. Anyone who tells you, like anyone who is super deterministic in the charts, instantly disqualified, right? To like, you idiots, you have to sell. It's obviously going to 0. Anyone approaching the market with anything other than an agnostic, information data-based approach is just being emotional, right? And hopefully, I lead by example here. When everybody was bearish at the low, and I'm not saying this to be like everyone was bearish here and we were bullish. I don't care about being right. I mean, I do because it has to do with making money, right? But it's just that when people are emotional, it oftentimes happens on big moves down or big moves up, right? So on a big move down, people are going to get emotional. They're down money. They think it's going to 0. They're mad. You got to sell. It's going to 0. I don't care who tells me that. If I see macro daily bull divs, right? Let me pull this up. Right? Because in the Discord, I wasn't even going to show this. I showed this in the premium to walk them through. But let me see if I can pull this up real quick. So here is what we were looking at in the premium Discord, February 27th. And to be honest, we talked about this on the live stream and on the YouTube channel in my 2025 prediction video in January. But at the end of the day, we were looking for this drop down. But at this point, we had already gotten a little bit of the drop down. We anticipated this. If you watch the live streams, you'll know we had a lot of liquidity below here. We had a massive low volume gap. We knew if we broke these range lows, it was going to be a fast drop to the downside. What we were looking for was potential support on the daily, on the golden pocket retracement. This is the same golden pocket retracement that I've been showing ever since we got the massive drop, right? And this stuff takes a long time to play out. And you're never, ever going to get the timing perfect. You're never going to get every up and down percentage. You're never going to get it perfect. But if you have a long-term plan and you stick to that long-term plan, more often than not, it will play out based off the information. As far as the next longs, I would really prefer to wait for the bigger drop to grab that chunk of liquidity in the 70,000s. This was back in February, anticipating a drop, preferring a drop down into the 70s, into that 786. Nobody wants to hear that, right? No one wants to hear you're bear. I don't care. You're bearish. Whatever. Screw you, right? And then when we now overall still bullish on the bull market, right? Definitely bearish for a drop down to 75K. But in my brain, right, as a trader, I'm thinking like, hey, let's get a massive drop down to 75, 80K. That's a good place to bounce. We still have opportunity to put in higher lows. And I talked about this on the 2025 prediction video very briefly, but just saying like not the place to get bearish because this is where you would look to put a higher low in to potentially put a higher low and a higher high, right? Maybe we're about to see that happen right now, right? But this was all the way in February. And not only that, right? The plan starts months ahead. If we get that brutal job, that's supposed to say drop, I assume. If we get that brutal drop, this could turn into a big swing trade. Confirmations are a bit hard to call right now, but I would really like to see high time frame bullish divergences. A daily div with money flow coming up would be really nice. We had to wait a long time to have that set up, right? So I'm bearish here for the drop down to the 80s and the 70s, but I'm looking for massive bounces, right? Not just saying it's going to 0. And that is why when we came down here and everyone thought it was the bear market, it almost makes me feel even better. If we came down there and there were no bullish confirmations, what bullish confirmations? high time frame bull div, specifically a daily bull div with the money flow coming up, if we did not get that at that level, then I would get more bearish looking for another lower level, right? But as everyone's screaming bear market, what do we have, right? I think I have another, what do we have here? We have daily bull divs into the key level of support that we waited so long for. Overall, we have the daily bull div printing as we push into the 786 weekly naked point of control. If this 2-day bull div can print, we can see a continuation up for a bigger retracement over the medium term. We still have to break out of this macro trend line. And with all the news, things can change fast. But right now, this is what's on the charts. Cautiously optimistic, looking for the retracement into 97K. And what did we get? Daily bull divs into that same level. Daily bull, and exactly what we wanted, right? And it doesn't mean that we had to see this, right? We could have seen other macro bullish confirmations, but we just happened to see what we wanted, right? Daily bull div, money flow comes up. That's what we needed to get that much bigger move up. And as this money flow was in the green, you guys know, right? This macro golden pocket was a dangerous place because if we put a macro lower high in here, high time frame money flow was coming into the red, that would likely be a bear market signal. Weekly money flow crosses into the red. That was the only way I could see the bear market coming in. But there was no reality that exists where I would get bearish at the low, not only because you're going to get a retracement, right? You don't want to sell the bottom. And sure, it's risky because it could just keep dumping, so it's kind of a hard decision to make. But why are we not bearish there? It's because we had been waiting for that ever since we came here, right? And honestly, before that. But, I didn't dig that deep in the post, right? February, right down here. And because of the money flow being in the red, this is important, and I think it's going to help a lot of people. With the money flow in the red like this, right? We knew, right? You might say to yourself, well, Frankie, you had a daily bullish divergence down here. And if you watch the live stream, we cover this every day. Higher lows, lower lows on our price action. We could look for a move up. But what were we looking for here? If you remember, lackluster retracement, lower high, lower low. Why am I looking for that? This is like a Frankie Candles extra sauce session. So if you stuck around till this part of the stream, you're getting sauce. What do we look for here, right? Sure, you have a bull div on the daily. That's nice. That's bullish. Right? Again, bullish is contextual, right? I could be bullish here and still anticipate lower prices. I'm bullish for a retracement, but I'm bearish for another lower low to come. I'm not just going to be, I'm bearish, I'm bearish, right? I'm going to be like, hey, I could take advantage of that bull div, long it, and just understand where that lower high might come in, take some profit, and maybe even flip short. Where do we look for the lower highs to come in? Golden pocket 786 retracement. Believe it was right here. And why is that? Money flow indicates the longer term trend. And we front ran all the key levels we had down here. We didn't hit the 786. We didn't hit the weekly naked point of control. Gives me another inkling, right, that we're probably going to come back down and revisit that, right? We kept saying we were suspicious of that 786. So 2-day bull div print or daily bull div prints. Money flow still in the red. So we could look for a bounce, but it has to be looked at as a lower high and a lower low. We get the lower high and the lower low. Then we tap into key support with way nicer bullish divergences and money flow coming up. That is what we want to see. Right? And it took a long time for that to play out. But patience is incredibly important when it comes to especially bigger moves like this. It takes a long time to play out. And it just goes to show, right? You have to have a plan. Otherwise, you're just going to sit on the chart and be like, oh, up, long, oh, I'm wrecked. Like, you're just going to be jumping in and out, right? You don't want to do that. You want to make sure you have a plan, wait for the setup, wait for the confirmations, and then look for a reaction, right? It's hard, right? It definitely takes a long time to learn and have the idea of I was not always able to jump on the charts and be like, hey, I used to think, oh my God, daily bull div, we're definitely going to moon, right? I used to think that, right? But now I have much more experience. I understand the context based off money flow, market structure, all that stuff, liquidity, and it helps you kind of identify sure, daily bull div is bullish, look for a move up, but not so fast. Money flow still in the red, look for a lower high, lower low, tap those key levels, boom, bull divs, send it to $1 million. So there you go. All right. Oh, shout out to Tony D. Already did the giveaways. CandleMafia's John Cena. Let's go, baby. We got Trick Ricka. Shout out to you, bro. We got Game Cubing. Nostro. Fast Easy Cash. Shout out to Fast Easy Cash. We got Wix Wife Fine 89. Let's go. We got Mikey. Crypto Maxi and Bitfrog. Let's go. A lot of familiar names in there. You guys are winning some free Cardano. I'm pretty sure it's excuse me. I'm pretty sure it's Cardano. So yeah, there we go. Let's see. Bada boom. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked there, but I did just kind of want to go over that, right? Because the reality of the situation is, and again, this is why I always stay firm on my stance. And that doesn't mean that I stay firm on my stance regardless of what the charts say, right? If we came down here and we did not have a daily bull div with money flow coming up and it looked bearish, you have to have a plan for that, right? That's why I say unless someone is coming up to you with like a data-driven hypothesis and understanding that they have to keep an eye on the opposite end of the coin, if you don't approach it like an if this, then that situation, you're pretty much just like betting in one direction and hoping, right? So if we did not see those bull divs, bet your bottom dollar I would have been more bearish down here, right? But until we came down to this key level, didn't get the bull divs, I have to remain bullish, right? We didn't break major market structure. And then once you get those bull divs, you look for the retracement into the 97K. And even then, it's not just like this is the low, we're going to all-time highs. It's coming to the low with bullish confirmation. This is an area where we could put a higher low in and a higher high. Because at the end of the day, we could have wiggled up here to the golden pocket, put in the macro lower high, and then came down either to a lower low or a bear market. But when we got up to the golden pocket, I want you guys to understand this so when you're looking at the chart yourself, you could start to build out your own kind of thesis. When you come into that golden pocket, money flows now in the green. That is much more bullish. And that gives us an opportunity to see the continuation of the trend. And if the daily money flow crosses over into the green, we can look at the 2-day. And if the 2-day follows suit, that longer-term trend is probably going to continue, right? Now, to be quite honest, technically, the lower high situation where we go into a lower low, and that's why I always say level to level. If we came up here and daily money flow was crossing into the red, weekly money flow was coming out, we were looking for we had high time frame red dots, macro bearish divergences, that could have been a very bearish scenario. Thank God we have money flow coming into the green here, right? Because that could have been very bad. But what happened? We didn't have that, right? I even said on the live stream, if we had that situation, I would say very high chance of a bear market. That's why this was such a big decision-making moment. Because if you're going to come in, put in a lower high, and break into a bear market, this was the start of the area that it could happen at. Technically, that level does lead into the 786. So, you lose that 786 and we close the weekly candle down there, maybe you get the lower high for the continuation down. I mean, that's definitely like not impossible, but the fact that we had the context of this 97K zone being the POC, all the naked points of controls, that massive high volume node, I do think that even if we do come back down, there is a good opportunity, especially if that 2-day money flow is coming up, daily money flow still in the green. I think this is really the important level to be above. So I would have been much more sketched out rejecting the golden pocket than pulling back from the 786 because now we're pushing into major support. You break above the resistance, and now it's major resistance, now it's major support. But if we reject it here, you're rejecting major resistance, and it's a lower high, right? Especially if the money flow is calling for it. So there you go. Let's see. Shout out to New Games. Can you say that all again? Except a little slow. Shout out to New Game. Go back and play me back in 1.5 speed. Should be good. Let's see. Shout out to Sleek Coil said, have you ever done a volume profile on Bitcoin dominance? Looks like it's rejecting a multi-year value area high right now with the weekly close on Sunday. Shout out to Sleek Coil. Actually, hilariously enough, we just looked at Bitcoin dominance with our volume profile. So the way I'm looking at this is not rejecting a value area high, however, rejecting your macro POC, right? This is all the way back from 2019, pulled from 2019 all the way to 2021. And I will say we're not rejecting a value area high, but we are starting to lose that point of control. I'm not going to go fully into this because we already covered it, but nice to see that we're losing that POC. You just got to make sure you don't, the POCs are sticky. You want to make sure you don't flip that back to support. But if you could lose that, come back down to the value area low, nice little dumpski on dominance. Could be good for the alts. And the altcoins charts also look pretty decent. Getting into their upper value areas, daily money flow crossovers, everything we just looked at. If you missed that, scrub to the beginning of the stream, and we cover it all in massive detail. But with all that being said, guys, I think that's all the time we got for today's live stream. Not too bad. We got Ethereum back above its value area low. We got Bitcoin finally at its value area high. Watch that $105,000 level. Maybe we cool off from where we're at right now. I do prefer the $105,000 level, but we are at resistance, so, cool offs are possible. Watch the 8-hour red dot with the 30-minute money flow crossover to start that if we're going to get it. And yeah, not too bad. Exciting week for Bitcoin, guys. And not only for the Bitcoin, but just like for the TA, right? Like volume profiles prevail once again, bringing us below that macro volume profile, massive bullish divergences back into the low. Money flow comes up, pushing into the high. Every time we go to fill a volume profile on the macro, I'm just always like, man, is this going to play out again? I feel like every time I look for this, it gets less and less probable just because it hits so much. But if that's not your sign, to hit the rest of the YouTube channel and watch our volume profile tutorials, guys. I don't know what will be. Keep your emotions calm. Yeah, shout out to Process, 100%. Love your work, Frankie. Shout out to Beft Up. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here, CandleMafia. Have a great weekend. Go touch some grass. And, yeah, we'll see if something crazy happens. Maybe I'll go live or drop a market update over the weekend. But we'll see what happens. And have a great night. Go touch some grass. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the f is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Speed showing for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Oh, sorry, guys. This is my weekend. I just sit here, eat granola bars, and stare at the charts. I did not know we were live. Shout out to the CandleMafia. I love each and every single one of you. See you guys tomorrow, on Monday. Have a great weekend. Hasta basta. Frank Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. top